It's time to smoke up some chuck roasts and make some barbecue beef sandwiches with a special doctored up barbecue sauce. Yeah, we'll get to that barbecue sauce actually tomorrow, because right now we're gonna season up these two chuck roasts. These are USDA choice chuck roasts, total of 7 pounds between them. And I don't know if you can tell this, but there's a little bit of ice still here. I've been thawing these for about 3 days. They're still a little stiff, but it's totally fine for seasoning. I am gonna use a binder though, and that's this balsamic glaze from Trader Joe's. I find this works really well on beef. The rub I'm going to be using today is California style rub from Sharp Gourmet Barbecue. These are very thick chuck roasts here. Definitely got to get these edges. I mean, look at the thickness of these things. Sometimes I'll see chuck roasts this thick, but usually it's about half this thick. Not worrying about doing any trimming on these. We're just gonna let them go when we get them out on the grill tomorrow. Smoke them up. I am happy with that. These are going in the refrigerator overnight, uncovered, just like this on the rack in the tray. Keeps them up out of any juices that might sweat off. And tomorrow, I'll see you outside at the grill. Which grill? You'll have to wait and see. All right, on this warm day, the Masterbuilt Gravity Series 600 charcoal grill is up to temp. My target today is 250 degrees. I've got a piece of red oak in the ash bucket. That's just something that people had told me online that works, and I've used it 3 or 4 times now, and it seems to work. Rather than putting chunks in the charcoal, I didn't really find as much smoke flavor when I did that as I did in the ash bucket. This isn't something Masterbuilt recommends as far as I know, but other people do it and it seems to work for me. So let's go ahead and get our chuck roasts on. I'm not going to be running a temperature probe at this point. I'm only going to put a probe in when we wrap these. And I will be wrapping them in foil today, not butcher paper, because I really want to retain all that moisture for when we finish this and start building our barbecue beef sandwiches. It could be 2, 3, 4 hours before we wrap. I'm really going to go based upon color and texture. That's the point when I'm going to wrap, and that's when we'll get a probe in. So let's get this closed up and get smoking. We'll come back in an hour and see if we need to spritz. We've been going 1 hour. Let's go ahead and check our chuck roast, see if we need to spritz. And it is smelling really good here right now, that combination of the red oak and the beef. Loving it. Looking good, starting to get that color on there. But I do want to give a spritz with plain water. And the process continues. We're going to close the lid. We'll come back in an hour and check, see how we're doing, see if we need to spritz or if we're ready to wrap. See you back here in an hour. We are at the 2-hour mark. Let's check our chuck roasts. I doubt it's going to be time to wrap them, but probably definitely going to spritz. Looking good. Hit these with some more plain water. Color's looking pretty good here. I think I'm going to go another half hour before wrapping. See you back here in 30 minutes. We are at the 2.5 hour mark. Time to wrap our chuck roasts in foil. Those are looking pretty nice. I'm going to get a little spritzing liquid in my foil here. We're going to double wrap these. Get my temperature probe in. I'm going to go into the big chuck roast right here. This one's a little bigger than the other one. That's showing a temp of 133.8. You might be saying that's below the stall. Well, that is below that 150 to 160 stall temp, but I'm aiming for that color and texture. Wrapping now is just going to help it finish and retain moisture. Now the finish temperature when we're going to check for tenderness is 203 degrees. So I will see you back here when we hit that temp. All right, it is hot and we just hit 203 internal. Let's go ahead and probe for tenderness. So I want to go through the side here, and I don't want to puncture the bottom of the foil because if there's any juice in there, I want it to stay. Oh, that's kind of like butter. And we'll get a little juice coming out of there. Let's try this one. Yeah, these are done and tender. And now what's going to happen is they're going to go inside, staying in the foil, resting for 1 hour. And then we'll start getting them ready to build our barbecue beef sandwiches. All right, our chuck roasts have been resting for just about an hour, and before we open up that foil and get to working on that beef, I want to get a couple things ready for our barbecue beef sandwiches. The first thing is a doctored up barbecue sauce. Now I'm using Stubbs barbecue sauce here, just the original. This is an 18-ounce bottle, but I've taken out a couple tablespoons to use in something else. Now this barbecue sauce is going to be a bacon horseradish barbecue sauce, and it's great to start with an existing sauce as a base. You could make this totally from scratch. I've done that before, but if you have a favorite sauce you just want to use as that base, go ahead and do that. To our barbecue sauce, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of horseradish. And our final ingredient is bacon. I have 3 pieces of bacon here that were fried up, cooled down, and chopped up nice and small. Now I just want to mix this together. This is going to be a great sauce for our barbecue beef. Get a little taste here. I love that bite of horseradish in there. Bacon makes everything taste better, but this is going to be fantastic on our sandwiches. Now, let's move on to making a simple slaw for these barbecue beef sandwiches. What I have here is half of a small head of red cabbage that I've sliced up. And you can see there's still some chunks together, but that's okay. They'll break apart as you mix it, or you can just break it apart by hand. To this, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of chopped up scallion, 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of the Stubbs barbecue sauce before we added anything to it. I'm just going to mix this up, and I'm going to get in here with my hands and do it. All right, our sauce is ready, our slaw is ready. Let's get the beef out here and get it ready. All right, here is one of our chuck roasts in a pan here just to keep all the juices. Let's open it up and have a look. Still nice and warm. Now, I don't know if I said what I was going to do. Was I going to pull it or slice it? I think I'm going to pull this. Let's do that. Yes. Super tender and juicy. Wow. Now, if you've done this and it seems a little dry, take some of that juice that's in the foil, put it back in here. But right now, this does not need that. Let's take a little taste. Wow. If there's any super big chunks of fat, go ahead and pull those out. But try and get the meat off of them first. Like this is just mostly fat right here, except for these little bits of meat. And then just pull it until you get the consistency you want. That is looking good to me. All right, let's go ahead and build our barbecue beef sandwich. All right, I have my bottom half of my bun here. I'm just gonna put a little bit of our red cabbage slaw on first. Just so we have a base to put our pulled beef on. Give it a nice crunch, a little bit of extra tang. Now for some beef. And I'm gonna be generous here. Because why not? Now for some of our bacon horseradish barbecue sauce. Again, put as much as you want on. So want some dill pickles on top. And we crown it. There we go. Our barbecue beef sandwich with some red cabbage slaw and bacon horseradish barbecue sauce. I've been waiting all day for this. I'm diving in. I have a feeling this is going to be messy. I don't care. That was worth the wait. Wow. Great smoke flavor, great juice, great flavor from the rub, great flavor from the sauce, the slaw. Everything just comes together in this. This is what I'm always hoping for when I make barbecue beef from chuck roasts.